What's up, everybody? Welcome to our channel, Honest Hockey Takes. I'm Hohen and this is Scott. Today, we'll be continuing our World Juniors series. And today, we have Group B.
Yeah, guys. So it's that time of the year where we're going to be getting the World Junior Championships starting on Boxing Day. And for Group B, we have the following teams competing. We have Finland, USA, Switzerland, Latvia, and Slovakia. And we're going to be previewing for you guys a bit today on what to watch and what to look forward to from these teams and what we expect to happen.
All right, Scott. So I'm going to start off with Team Finland. What do you think about Team Finland in this tournament?
Well, so Team Finland is the returning silver medalist from last year. They barely lost to Team Canada for the gold medal last year. If it wasn't for the heroics by Mason McTavish to knock that puck out of midair,
Which is crazy.
Finland probably would have won that game 3-2 and be the current gold medal defending champions. But it doesn't work like that. Sometimes it's a game of inches, and Finland is looking to try to bring it back and win this time rather than get runner-up. This team, unfortunately, has lost a lot of its players from last year. Their team is not as stacked as last year's team was at all, actually. They have a couple really, really good returning players, though, like Joakim Kamel, Nashville Predators first-round pick. This guy was top 3 last year in the whole tournament in points. He's back, so that's good for their offense because they don't have a lot of it this year, unfortunately. He's going to really need to carry hard, along with his compatriot Brad Lambert, Winnipeg Jets first-round pick, who is absolutely amazing player in his own right. These two look to be playing together for the whole tournament and be putting up some big numbers.
All right, yeah. You brought up a good point, actually. Just because a team did well last year doesn't mean they're going to do well this year. Every year is different. But what do you think about their defense?
Kind of like their offense, their defense suffered a lot of casualties. They're really only returning one guy who made a real impact last year, and that is going to be their number one defenseman, Alexi Heposalami, who was on Team Finland last year and led them in defenseman points. This guy was a point-per-game defenseman. He quarterbacked their power play brilliantly, and he'll be returning, most likely doing the same again this year. Absolute star on the back end. Carolina Hurricanes draft pick, so something for Carolina fans to look forward to. And then one other interesting thing this team's doing this year, that's the only team in the tournament, and they're actually bringing a 16-year-old defenseman to this tournament, the youngest player to participate, and that is projected first overall pick in 2024, Aaron Kivuharu, defenseman for this team. And it's going to be very interesting to see what they do with the 16-year-old defenseman. This is primarily a tournament that is meant for older players, so I don't really expect them to give him that much ice time, probably looking around the 10-11 minute mark a game, but he could be an X factor if he's given that power play 2 time.
So, who do you think will be some of the X factors for this tournament for Team Finland?
Yeah, so we've already talked about their stacked top 2 with Brad Lambert and Joakim Kamel, who will score no matter what. These guys are not going to struggle at all. But other players I think that could make a real impact for this offense and for this team in general would be Montreal Canadiens prospect Oliver Kapanen, who is already drafted. He's an older player, so he should be able to step up in this tournament if he's ready. And Ville Koivunen as well, also drafted by the Carolina Hurricanes. He is likely projecting as a returning player to play on that first line with those 2 big boys. And if this line can get going, they're going to really be riding on this line. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This Finland success is going to come down to the first line of this.
How do you think the goalie is going to do, actually? Do you think their goalie... I mean, we kind of touched on in our previous video that there isn't a whole lot of X factors for the goalies in this tournament, but how do you think that goalie is going to do?
Yeah, it's very weird. Almost every year in the World Juniors, there's that big name goalie who really just like takes the spotlight as like the big carry of a team. There really isn't for this year. One thing I will say, though, is Finland historically has always brought pretty decent goaltenders, not just to this tournament, but just in general. They breed goaltenders amazing. Like, look how many great Finnish goalies we've been given over the years with guys like Pekka Rinne and stuff. So, I mean, I expect their goaltender to be pretty reasonable. My biggest issue with this team is going to be if they're able to score goals, personally.
Yeah, so one last question is, how well do you think this team's going to do in the tournament in terms of overall, especially in an elimination round?
I will say, given the field that there is this year with the 10 teams, it's not the strongest field that they have ever had. I highly expect this team to be top 2 in this group. It's between them and the USA, really, for who comes out as the champion of Group B.
Yep. So now going from Team Finland, now we're gonna switch to Team USA. What do you think about the Team USA now?
I think Team USA has a very interesting roster overall. This team has a really solid first line in Logan Cooley, Jimmy Snuggerud, and Cutter Goche. So these are all players who have been drafted recently in the first round of the 2022 NHL entry draft. They're all 18. They all have a lot of experience. Most of them are playing right now in college right now for the U.S. But also on top of that, they have a pretty solid second line with Chad Lucius and Rucker McGorty. These two guys also, same type of thing. They've been here before. They've played for the U.S. development program before. They're really familiar with the guys. And I think the one positive for Team USA most years is that the guys all really know each other and they have that built-in chemistry.
Okay. So how do you think that defense is gonna hold up?
If I'm being honest, I think this team has the best defense in the tournament.
Really? They're in Canada?
I think they might. This team has a really solid stacked top 4. I'd say top 6, but it's mainly the top 4 that really stand out to me. In my opinion, I think they have a guy who's probably going to win Defenseman of the Tournament, and that's Luke Hughes, Jack's brother, Quinn's brother. This guy is awesome. He is absolutely lighting it up right now in college. 4th overall pick by the New Jersey Devils. I fully expect him to put up a ton of points, log like 25, 26 minutes a night, and make a real impact. And he's going to be accompanied by a guy named Ryan Chesley, a Capitals draft pick who has really been quite successful defensively. So it's a really good mix to have with a guy like Luke Hughes who can bring the offense for this team. And then they have their second defense pairing of Lane Hudson and Seamus Casey. Once again, both have been drafted. Both were second-round picks. 18 years old. They're both small. I will say that is the weakness of the USA's defense is they're not the biggest bodies. 5'8", 5'9" on that second pair between Casey and between Lane Hudson. But these guys are very offensively talented, and it should be quite the help for a team that doesn't necessarily have the most offensive firepower after their first 2 lines. So that should really get the offense started for the USA.
So who do you think is going to be the X factor for this team for the longevity of this tournament?
I think it'll come down to how much of a breakout Logan Cooley has, because he's played in this tournament before. He put up okay numbers, but it wasn't like what you expect from the top player on the team, as well as just how much Luke Hughes can carry. He has the ability to be like an MVP-worthy candidate for this Team USA team. If this defense, even though they're smaller, they can contain the top teams' lines like Team Finland and when they play Team Canada outside of this group, it'll be really key, basically, how they can shut those guys down.
Okay, the final question is, so how do you think this USA team's gonna do in the tournament?
Personally, I predict Team USA this year to be first in the Group B. I think they're going to overtake Finland this year because I just think that their team is overall deeper and their defense is a heck of a lot better than Finland's defense. It's kind of night and day, actually, overall. So I do expect Team USA to lead Group B.
Yeah, and the next team that we have is Switzerland.
Yeah, so Team Switzerland in this tournament, they really haven't had a really good run for a lot of years. And that's usually because they don't have a ton of NHL caliber players on this team. But one thing this team has historically done very well is they play very good team defense. So even when they're playing against a very elite team, even a team like Team Canada, for example, they tend to at least keep the bleeding to a minimum. They lost 6-0 in the preliminary match to Canada, which in all due respect, that's not really all that bad against a super team like Canada. They're going to do pretty good against some of these bottom teams, I think, in this division, at least in like 2-1, 3-2 games, because they don't really allow that many goals. Their strength is always, like I said, their defensemen are usually pretty solid. Not great offensively by any means. This team really, really, really struggles to score goals. Like, I would be very shocked if in the entire tournament they scored more than 3 goals.
Okay. Is there any players in there that actually stand out in Switzerland?
Yeah, there's a couple players I'd say. I'm going to name 2 that I think have a chance to have a little bit of an impact on this team, even though I don't think they're going to have the most success as a unit. But Brian Zanetti from the OHL, He's been putting up some pretty good numbers right now. He's about a point per game right now in the OHL. He could add some offense to this team. They could use that spark, you know? And then defenseman Liam Bichelle, who's a pretty solid defenseman, kind of got some offensive upside to his game. I think that would be a guy I'd be looking to watch as well for Switzerland to kind of have an impact and maybe give them a chance to win a game.
All right, next team, Latvia. Tell me about this team.
There's not a lot to say about Latvia. This team hasn't historically been the most successful team when they come to the World Juniors, but I will say something. Last year, they finally got their first Div 1 win. Go Latvia. It was really exciting, and I know me and a lot of my friends were really pumped for Latvia getting that win because, I mean, we didn't expect it, and obviously they hadn't done it before, so good on Latvia. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen this year. Off the top of my head, think this team is going to go winless in this group. I think they're going to be 0-4. I just feel like they are kind of the worst team by far in this division, which is kind of sad, which means they'll be playing for relegation likely against either Austria or Germany.
Teams like this makes me sad that Russia's not in it because it's like not having Russia in this tournament, just, oh my gosh. Now we have to watch teams like Latvia.
Yeah, not to get political with what's going on and all that, but it does really damper the tournament's strength of like the opponents that they get to play. Like there is clearly teams that are up here, and then you got obviously teams that have to be down there.
Like no offense, I'm not going to watch a single Latvia game. I don't care about that team.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the most exciting hockey, but we give them respect because they're going to compete and they're going to put in their best effort.
I mean, good job. Yay, Latvia. Okay, next team.
Our final team we have in Group B this year is going to be Slovakia. Now, last year was an absolute disaster for Slovakia. They ended up dead last in this group.
No way.
In their group, which is really shocking because this is a team that has a lot of exciting future NHL potential to it. But unfortunately, it didn't mesh, and this team basically got throttled by everybody they played last year, and it was kind of embarrassing. One of the worst performances I think I've ever seen from Slovakia at this tournament. But I do think this year is going to be different. I'm going to go out and say this is a year they win a couple games in their group, actually.
So what do you think is different about this team that makes them win games?
So they got returning player Simon Nemec, who went second overall last year to the New Jersey Devils in the draft. This guy's an amazing defenseman. He is a true two-way defenseman, great puck mover, decent shot, good like two-way defenseman, like exactly what you'd want to have. And he's going to be leading this team. One of the few returning players who's like actually old enough to be like an actual impactful player. But they also got young kids coming up that have a ton of potential. Guys like Dalibor Dvorsky for this team. Really exciting player who's expected to go top 10 in this year's upcoming NHL entry draft. This guy is currently lighting up the Swedish league, Swedish men's league too, not even the junior league. Like this guy is having a really good start to this year, and I can't wait to watch him. Kind of like we said earlier in the last video with all these other 17-year-olds coming up. It should be quite a fun team to watch this year.
So, do you think will be the X factor of this Slovakia team?
Well, we talked about those other two guys a bit, but I'm going to bring up some other guys who I think could really make an impact for this team. Philip Mazur, Montreal Canadian first-round pick, also returning to this tournament. He's played before. I think he has some good offensive upside. Along with Samuel Hanzek, really good player right now in the OHL, putting up some good numbers. I think these two players could really make an impact for this team, and I think they're going to have an easier time scoring than they did last year.
Okay. The final question is, how well do you think this team is going to do in the tournament overall?
So my prediction overall, I don't think they're going to medal by any means, but I think that they're going to come third in this division in Group B, which would be a pretty big win after last year being dead last in their division. So I think this team can beat Switzerland, and I think this team will also beat Latvia. Well, that sums up our Group B preview for the World Junior Championships. Just to kind of run it down, my final predictions for this group is going to be USA first, Finland second, Slovakia third, Switzerland fourth, and Latvia at 5.
So that is all we have left for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider giving a like, subscribe, share your thoughts in the comment section below. But until next time, we'll see you guys in the next video.
Yeah, take care, guys.
Take care. Bye.